I won a $12,000 prize at a startup pitch competition, but Mom said your brother's vacation home is priority. She spent it on his cabin deposit. He sneered your pitch was just dumb luck. I smiled calmly and said I understand. I canceled the real estate payment. Hours later a sharp beep echoed outside and my phone lit up with 81 missed calls when they saw who stepped out. Your pitch was just dumb luck, he said. I smiled, but I knew exactly what I was about to do. You really think you earned that? Mom asked, stirring her tea like she hadn't just cut me down. It's $12,000. You should be grateful they even picked your silly app idea. I stood there holding the email on my phone, the one with the digital confetti and the giant blue congratulations heading. I hadn't even had time to breathe before she launched into her version of what was supposed to happen next. But we already promised Mark that money, she added casually like she was talking about Tupperware. The cabin deposit's due Friday and you're part of this family. Right. My brother didn't even look up from his phone. Just muttered your pitch was dumb luck anyway. I blinked. That was it. No one said congrats, no hug, no high five. Just that smug tilt of his chin and a shrug like he was the one who carried the team across the finish line. I had just won a startup pitch competition, real judges, real investors, real pressure. I had built the entire concept, coded the demo, stood on that stage shaking but steady. And somehow this all boiled down to me being lucky. Mom leaned forward, soft voice. The one she only used when she was manipulating. Your brother's vacation home is a real investment. He's going to Airbnb it. Turn it into something big. That money's better spent on something that helps the family. I don't know what came over me in that moment. I didn't yell. Didn't slam anything. I just smiled. Okay. I said gently. I understand. I left the kitchen, walked into the hallway and canceled the payment from my real estate app. The deposit for Mark's cabin. Gone. The bank would notify them in a few hours. And when that sharp beep beep echoed from outside when the SUV pulled into our driveway and they saw who stepped out of it, that's when my phone lit up like a siren. 81 missed calls and not a single one was to congratulate me. They say generosity starts at home. What they don't say is how quickly it becomes a prison sentence. When Mark's coffee shop collapsed after 8 months of overpriced muffins and misspelled chalkboard menus, I didn't even hesitate. I wired him $5,000. No questions. Just a short message. You'll get through this. He never paid me back. Never even brought it up. When Mom's old laptop finally gave up after a decade of Candy Crush and chain emails, I sent her a new one. She called me for the password setup. Didn't say thank you. When Dad's truck broke down on the highway, I skipped work and drove 2 hours with jumper cables and a toolkit. He handed me a warm soda and went back to his recliner without so much as a nod. It had become routine. I was the lifeline, the emergency contact, the human checkbook, and it wasn't seen as generosity. It was seen as expected. Come on, you're the tech guy, Mom would say, smiling like I should be flattered. You have those computer salaries. You're doing fine. Yeah, Mark once added with a shrug. You're the golden child. You're supposed to take care of the rest of us. Golden. That word made me feel sick. I was working 12-hour days, burning out on code and pitch decks, barely affording rent in a shared apartment. But they assumed I was swimming in money, that somehow their debts were part of my job description. So when I won that $12,000 startup prize, a real competition with real investors, I knew better than to expect celebration, but I still didn't expect the ambush. Your pitch was just dumb luck, Mark had said, half smiling like he wanted to see if I'd snap. Deb followed it up with his classic, we raised you. Now it's your turn. That's how families work. And Mom, ever the passive handmaid of this dysfunction, just sighed and nodded. It's not like it's a lot of money, honey. And Mark's cabin is a real investment for the future. I wanted to laugh or scream or both, but instead I just swallowed it down and said I understand. The family group chat lit up later that night. Mark had posted a photo of a cabin brochure with the caption, "Some of us turn luck into legacy." And Cheryl responded with clapping emojis. My cousin Ryan wrote, nice. Finally someone in this family building something real. Then came the memes, one of a cartoon dog in a suit with a speech bubble. I made an app that barks when you're sad. Please clap. They thought that was hilarious. Hey. At least your little dog app paid for something useful, someone added. Another app friendly, that's what tech is now. El Mayo. I stared at the screen for a long time, each new message punching a little deeper than the last. The next day my bank flagged an unusual transaction. $1,200 moved from my personal savings to a checking account I hadn't used in months. I recognized the name. It was Mom's. Years ago I'd added her to the account to help her pay a medical bill. I never removed her. She must have thought I wouldn't notice. I called the bank. The rep confirmed the transaction came from her device. I didn't call her. I didn't say anything at all. Instead, I opened my laptop, searched through old receipts and transaction logs. I found a note I wrote to myself last year after I covered Mark's credit card debt. Never again. This is the last time. Apparently I'd lied. The next night Mark posted again. Some people forget who got them there, he wrote. But real success isn't so low. It's shared even when some people try to keep it all. Over 200 likes. Comments full of backpats. A few indirect shots at me. Then I saw it. A like from Caleb, my cousin. The one I helped move cross-country last year. The one who crashed on my couch for 3 weeks. He didn't even hesitate to jump on the bandwagon. I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't rage. Rage would have been easy. It was something colder, something clearer. That Saturday I went over to mow the lawn. Not because I wanted to, because no one else would. That was always the deal. You're the only one with time, Mom used to say. Funny how the guy with 2 jobs was always the one with time. I pulled the mower around back. The sun was brutal. Sweat ran down my back. I was halfway through when I heard voices from the open kitchen window. I paused. Mom's voice. We'll just tell him it's a family project. He won't say no. He never does. Mark. He doesn't even know we spent part of it already. God, it's almost too easy. They laughed. I didn't. I stood there silent, the mowers still rumbling beside me. They didn't know I was close enough to hear. And even if they had, I doubt they'd care. It wasn't just about using me. It was the confidence with which they dismissed me. I finished the lawn, packed up the mower, went home. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even scream into a pillow. I just sat down, opened my laptop and stared at my co-base. Then I closed it and whispered to no one, you want a family business? Okay. But not the kind you imagined. I booked the table under a fake name. Didn't want them to see it coming. It was a small place near the edge of town, quiet with heavy curtains and the kind of lighting that makes people behave. I told them I wanted to talk. No more drama, I'd said. Just dinner. Just us. Mom replied with a heart emoji. Dad, finally. Mark. He didn't answer. Just sent a thumbs up as if I was beneath words now. What they didn't know was that I'd made one more call that morning when I never thought I'd make. Grandpa, I said into the phone, you still got room at the table. He didn't hesitate. If you're finally ready to stop playing nice, I'm all in. He arrived 15 minutes early, same as always. Same worn leather coat, same silent nod. But this time he brought a flash drive. You said you wanted help, he muttered. So I brought receipts. At 7:04 p.m. they walked in. Mom smiling like a diplomat. Dad stone-faced like a loan officer. Mark in a blazer way too expensive for someone with no known income. They slid into the booth across from me without even looking around. Mark smirked. Did you want to apologize first, or should we pretend you didn't overreact like a child? I didn't look at him. I placed the Bluetooth speaker on the table, pressed play. The audio was scratchy. It had been recorded from outside, but it was clear enough. Mom's voice. We'll just tell him it's a family project. He won't say no. He never does. Mark, he doesn't even know we spent part of it already. God, it's almost too easy. Silence at the table. Real silence. The kind that makes waiters stay away. Then Mom said, voice shaking, that was taken out of context. Oh, really? I pulled a printout from my folder because the bank didn't think so. Here's the transfer, $1,200 from my account from your device. No context needed. Dad tried to talk, but I cut him off. You want more? I turned to Mark. Let's talk about that shared legacy. I reached into my bag, pulled out a tablet and tapped twice. On screen, screenshots of texts. Mark bragging to a friend. Used my brother's pitch money for the cabin. He still thinks I'm broke, lol. Mom said not to tell him until it's done. He's too soft to fight back anyway. Mark's smirk cracked. That's fake. I raised an eyebrow. That's your number. I backed it up from your old iCloud. You never changed your login. Still password 123 like a genius. Mom grabbed the tablet. Read. Froze. I wasn't done. I stood slowly, looked each of them in the eye. You've used me for years. Money. Time. Silence. You convinced yourselves that because I didn't fight back I didn't notice. I did. Then I turned slightly and nodded toward the door. The bell rang as it opened. Grandpa walked in. The room changed. My father visibly paled. Mom gasped. Mark shifted like his spine had melted. Grandpa didn't sit. He stood behind me, arms crossed, and said loud enough for the other tables to hear. I raised a son who turned lies into a career. I see now I should have paid more attention to my grandson. Then he leaned closer to my father. You always thought you were the smart one, didn't you? Taking, scheming, lying. You think the world owes you because you can bluff a room, but you never learned the one rule that matters. Dad didn't speak. Grandpa finished it for him. You don't steal from your own blood, not when the blood finally learns how to bleed you back. He dropped the flash drive onto the table. It slid and tapped Mark's untouched water glass. Inside records, cabin deposit, tax evasion, loan scams. You used your son's name on a PayPal business account 3 years ago. He never consented, but I saved the docs. You know why? Mark was staring at the floor now. Grandpa glared at him. Because I knew this day would come. Then I pulled out my final card. Here's what's going to happen, I said, voice steady. I'm cutting all ties. I've already filed a fraud report for the stolen funds. The joint accounts are frozen. Any further transactions will trigger legal action. Mom opened her mouth. I raised a hand. Don't. You already made your choice. This time so did I. I turned to Mark. He looked like a cartoon villain caught in HD. Your little cabin. You'll pay for it yourself now. Good luck running an Airbnb with no water access. I canceled the permit this morning. The land is under investigation. His mouth opened but nothing came out. Then I turned to Dad. Your reputation. You might want to keep your phone nearby. A few of your old partners got a copy of that flash drive already. He looked ready to explode. And then I looked at Mom. You call this a family business, I said. But I was never part of the boardroom, just the ATM in the hallway. I grabbed my coat, nodded to Grandpa, and said calmly, I'm done. And I left. I didn't slam the door, didn't look back, but I heard it. Chairs scraping, raised voices, a glass breaking. And behind me, Grandpa's voice cutting through it all. Let them yell, you already won. After that dinner there was nothing. No calls, no texts, no guilt trip voicemails, just a vacuum. 3 days of silence so loud I could hear my own heartbeat, but I wasn't waiting for them to come back. I was busy. I opened a blank document entitled "It This Is What Family Investment Sometimes Looks Like." Then I started adding the files. Screenshot of the $1,200 transfer. Audio recording from the kitchen. The text Mark sent bragging about spending my prize money. The statement from the bank flagging the unauthorized transaction. A photo of the canceled cabin invoice complete with red declined stamp. My message history with Mom. The ones where she asked for a little help but never said thank you. I didn't embellish. I didn't rant. I just told the truth. And then I hit publish. LinkedIn, Medium, Substack. I wanted it searchable. The post went up at 8:07 a.m. By noon it had over 2,000 views. By the next day the shares had doubled, then tripled. People were commenting, tagging others, sending DMs like, thank you for saying this out loud. Same thing happened to me. And then the backlash started, not from strangers, from them. Mom's post came first. A blurry photo of her holding a framed picture of me as a kid, captioned, when your own child forgets what family means, betrayal hurts deepest when it comes from love. Then came Mark, a shaky underlit Instagram story, his face tight, voice choked with performative pain. I lost everything. My dream, my future, because someone wanted attention. I hope you're happy, man. No mention of the theft, the lies, the manipulation, just vague grief perfectly packaged for public sympathy. Then came the cousins. Some messaged me privately. Bro, I didn't know. That's wild. Hope you're okay. One of them, Ryan, sent a single message. I didn't know it was real. I'm sorry. Another blocked me. Cowards. I didn't argue. I didn't reply with more receipts or voice notes. I just posted one comment beneath my original piece. Everything stated is documented. There's nothing more to add. Full stop. Then I went through my accounts. Bank joint access revoked. Insurance updated. Apple family removed all devices tied to mom's email. Old shared streaming logins gone. Savings account tied to dad's name from years ago closed. Final confirmation. Shared access. 0 active users. Clean slate. But there was one thing left to say, and it came in the form of a memory, the one they'd never forget. It started the day I canceled the cabin payment. They didn't know I had access to the original real estate files. They didn't know Grandpa had never formally transferred the land deed, the legacy lot in the mountains they always said would go to Mark. They thought it was already theirs. It wasn't. 2 weeks before the dinner, I'd had a quiet lunch with a VC acquaintance from Boulder. She loved my startup idea, especially the cabin as a creator retreat twist. 3 days later, I signed the papers. The deed was transferred. The land sold not to just anyone. To Recess Labs Incorporated, my company. Hours after I canceled the cabin deposit, my phone buzzed. Then came the sharp beep beep outside the house. A black Tesla rolled up their long gravel driveway. Dad stepped out onto the porch. Mom came behind him, apron still on, tea towel in hand. Mark opened the door, saw the car, and smiled, probably thinking the money came through after all. The back door of the Tesla lifted. A tall man in a gray blazer stepped out. Clipboard. Folder. Quiet authority. Good afternoon, he said. Is this the Barrett residence? Dad nodded slowly. Yes. Can I help you? The man smiled tightly. I'm here on behalf of Recess Labs. We've just acquired full ownership of this lot. The previous title holder transferred rights last month. This land is now registered for development. He handed over the envelope. Inside, the formal notice of purchase signatures, stamps, the new owner line, Recess Labs / founder, my name. They froze. You're mistaken, Dad said quickly. This lot was promised to my son. The man raised an eyebrow. Unless your son's name is my name, I suggest you check again. Mark stepped forward, pale. This is a mistake, he mumbled. No mistake, the man said, stepping back into the car. Construction begins next quarter. I suggest relocating any belongings. He drove off. That's when the messages started. 21 missed calls. Then 30. By midnight, 81. I didn't pick up a single one. I sat at my kitchen table, mug in hand, watching the screen light up like fireworks. Then I opened my new folder. Phase 2, Peace. And I smiled. Because for the first time in my life, my name, just my name, was on the deed. And they were finally out of mine. You'd think after 81 missed calls they'd get the message. But people never call just to apologize. They call to reset the story. The next morning, I woke up to a handwritten letter slid under my apartment door. It wasn't signed, but I recognized the handwriting instantly. Mom, 5 pages of slanted cursive perfume-stained paper, trying to rewrite a lifetime of silence into one soft tragedy. I just wanted the family to stay together. You've always been so distant. We didn't know how else to reach you. It was never about the money. I folded the letter slowly and fed it into my shredder. No ceremony. No tears. Just the of paper being turned to dust. That night I changed my phone number. The moment I confirmed it, the old phone lit up for the last time, a final buzz before death. It displayed one more message from Mark. You think this makes you powerful? You'll regret this. No, Mark. I regretted every time I paid your debt and smiled while you called me pathetic. I regretted every it's okay. I mumbled after Dad called me a joke in front of relatives. I regretted letting Mom whisper apologies behind closed doors while watching me burn in public. But this was power. 3 weeks later the site went live. Recessretreat.io, a sanctuary for builders. No bloodlines required. The homepage showed a snow-dusted cabin under construction, sleek glass solar panels, and a quote. Sometimes the people who claim to raise you are the ones holding the scissors. On launch day it hit 17,000 views. 4 different angel investors emailed within 24 hours. One VC firm called it the Airbnb of mental recovery for creators. I didn't respond right away. I heard through a mutual friend that Dad tried to report the land transfer as fraud. He showed up at the county clerk's office with a folder of old documents and a mouth full of entitlement. They told him politely that the land had never been his. Never legally. Never morally. Grandpa had made sure of that. And now legally it was mine. And morally. Let's just say I was finally at peace with what peace really looks like. Mark vanished off social media for a while, then reappeared in a blurry IG story renting an apartment with mountain vibes in the caption. No cabin. No startup. No family fortune. Just filtered selfies and forced positivity. Mom tried once more. A short message from an unknown number. If you ever want to talk, I'll always be your mother. I stared at it for a moment. Then archived the message and blocked the sender. I already had a mother. The one I imagined she could be. This version just a stranger with my childhood in her mouth. And Dad, he never reached out again. Maybe he realized this wasn't one of those messes I'd clean up. Maybe he finally saw what happened when the family disappointment stopped showing up. Last I heard, he tried pitching his own family redemption podcast. It had 3 episodes and 12 listeners. One of them was probably him. As for me, I still work late, still debug code, still wake up some mornings wondering if I overreacted. And then I sip my coffee, look at the deed with my name on it, and remember I didn't overreact. I finally reacted. For the first time in years, I don't owe anyone anything. No more emergency wires. No more guilt-fed group chats. No more family doesn't keep score lies. No. I keep the score and I keep the keys.